I think the world is curious about that November 13th day, the day you found out in the phone call. Are you able to talk about that?
Yeah, that day is, that day was started out as a very odd Sunday in the first place, because he was sick, and he's never, ever sick. Never been to the hospital my entire life. And it wound up being Ramsay Hunt. So he had this crazy rash on his face that started in his ear all the way down the nerve. And that morning woke up with his face all swelled up and was like, there's something wrong. I think I actually need to go to urgent care. And I was like, that's crazy. If you're saying that, this is serious. So that's how the morning started out. So came home. They diagnosed him with Ramsay Hunt, and he was in a lot of pain. But our son came over, and they were watching the football game, and
I'm very sorry to meet you this way. What do you want people to know about your sister?
Yeah, I think the most important thing to know about Kaylee is she was a go-getter, and she was an absolute fighter. And I want people to take this personally, because she was everyone's daughter. She's the neighbor, she's the friend. She was the girl who made your coffee in the morning, and everyone should be taking this personally.
So we're taking it personally, and it doesn't make any sense, certainly not to you. In terms of what you understood about your sister's life, was there any threat that she had ever had? Was there anybody who was coming after her on social media? Did she have a past, a problem with a boyfriend or a friend? Anything to inform why somebody would do something so violent to her, her friend, her other roommate, and her boyfriend?
Absolutely. There's nothing. There's no boy problem. There's no threat. There's no high-risk lifestyle that could have indicated this. It has taken all of us completely by shock, and we have absolutely no ideas.
It is a piece of potential evidence everybody is talking about online. The glove that the police almost missed. It was dropped, or it was thrown out outside the home where the 4 college students were stabbed to death in Moscow. And there is a good chance that it would still be there right now, but for a former homicide detective turned podcaster who noticed it while he was actually visiting the scene on Thanksgiving, which is 11 days after the murders. Chris McDonough is a veteran of the Oceanside, California Police Department, and currently he's the director with the National Cold Case Foundation. He's also co-host of the podcast, The Interview Room, and he is live with me tonight. Detective, it's so good to have you. First of all, I am shaking my head as I even think I'm doing this interview with you. Take me there. Tell me what happened. You literally showed up and looked down and said, hello, gentlemen, come over here. Have you seen this? Is that really how simple this was?
Yeah, it really was, Ashley. I mean, it was my wife and I, it was Thanksgiving Day. We happened to be up here in Idaho. And I said to her, I said, hey, let's just go over where that, situation's taking place at the university to get some tape, and we're walking up the street, and the first thing that caught my attention, to be honest with you, was all of the cars still parked on the property. And then I looked over and I saw there was an officer controlling the scene sitting in his vehicle. And I looked to the left and I saw that what appeared to be a glove. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Is that a glove?" And she goes, "Yeah, I think it is." And so
The parents of one of the girls killed have become increasingly outspoken on the case, now saying there is a, quote, conflicting means of death between their daughter and her friend. Joining us now for more is former FBI agent and former Navy SEAL Jonathan Gilliam. Jonathan, welcome back to Wake Up America. So let's start with that. What could conflicting means of death mean? Autopsy results are already out. The father of one of those students says the points of damage don't match. What does he mean by this, you think?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know what this guy means. I'm going to take a little bit of a turn on this because this individual, Stephen Goncalves, I always butcher his last name. He's doing an interview. It seems like every 4 to 8 hours. And many of these different news agencies are putting what he has to say all over the airwaves. And they're not looking at the totality of the things that this guy says. He himself, not law enforcement, he says conflicting things constantly. And he says things that are very odd over and over again. I've worked a lot of different cases. I spoke to a lot of different law enforcement. In fact, one police officer who was a mayor of a town in Springfield and a 20-year police officer reached out to me yesterday and said he's never seen anyone that seemed like they have committed a homicide more than Mr. Goncalves. Now that's something when we're looking at his statements that he is consistently making to the media, and the media is overlooking the fact that he is saying things. And I have some of the things that he says right here. He says that nobody in the room, that it was fast and nobody suffered. Right?
Yeah,
There's been no report on that. He's also said that he's just going to say it. This is a quote from Kaylee's dad. "I'm just going to say it. It was leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I sent my daughter to college. She came back in a box." He went to when they had their service for all the four slain and made jokes and talked about the lighting. I mean, this individual is bothering me and many people very much. And if at the very least, he is causing law enforcement more problems, I think, than anything else.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, y'all have to be so proud of her. And she was taken away from us far too soon. Can you tell us what the authorities have been telling you? We want to do anything that we can to help you to get justice for your daughter and the rest of the victims. What are they telling you?
They're telling us that there's so much evidence that it's going to take a lot of time to process it all. This wasn't like a pinpoint crime. This person was sloppy. He did whatever. When I say he, obviously you can't say that. That's just me. But he made a mess, and there's a mess there, and they're going to have to go through that point by point, and that's going to take a lot of time. That's why they reached out to other facilities to help them with that lab work.
They do have a mobile unit on site that they said that they're able to really expedite things with this mobile unit. Hopefully, they're reaching out to other DNA processing type companies such as like 23andMe to get involved. They have not confirmed that they have DNA from this person. They just said that they have a ton
of evidence. And evidently today, with the new task force, the new FBI task force on site, and the FBI, of course, and Idaho State Police, they said that they were able to pull a ton of evidence from the house today.
Yeah.
And they're processing that.
So
It just takes time.
yeah, we've only heard positive stories about your daughter and the other victims out there. We couldn't find anybody to say anything about them. It's only been that they were givers. They loved everyone on campus. You see the videos on social media of them being so happy. Did y'all have any clue? I mean, there haven't been a murder in you guys' town since 2015. Did y'all have any clue that they may be unsafe on the campus? Was there any indication?
Absolutely not. And if they were, we would have told Kaylee to come home immediately. And same with Maddie. Maddie's family is our family. I know we're very close with them. They are not speaking out. They choose not to speak out, and they have asked us to please go ahead and speak on behalf of Maddie. They were best friends from little girls. She was part of our family. Kaylee was part of their family, and absolutely not. Our son went to that college. No, absolutely not.
My daughter was aware of her environment.
Very aware.
She turned her camera on. She would film when she thought somebody was following her out of a mall parking lot or a grocery store. She was very aware that, she was a pretty girl and that, it could attract some problems. So she was alert. She was a streetwise child.
She herself was a web sleuth, literally through and through. Listen to, which is just so ironic and just so surreal in all of it. Just very, sad for families when she'd hear about this type of stuff happening. Like, Mom, did you hear about that? Or Mom, did you hear about that?
Keep track of it.
And she was very well of her surroundings, very well. I mean, she would think somebody was following her, and she would call me and say, Mom, I think there's somebody following me. And I'm like, well, Kaylee, call the police, and then she'd say, oh, never mind. They just turned into 7-Eleven. She was aware, and very aware. And,
we asked for a list of the things that they had to take, because we know of some things like a laptop, an Apple laptop, and a couple of things. We couldn't even get them to give a list. So
Of things that they had. And maybe it sounds stupid, but I don't really know why Kaylee's phone is evidence. Like, what is on? So it makes me think, what is on it?
yeah, that makes you go cuckoo.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, okay, what is on it?
Her speaker, it's kind of unusual item not to give back. The laptops, multiple laptops, not just one. All electronics, it seems like they've kept of hers. So, and her bake records, the amount of records on Kaylee was probably I think fairly to say was more than the other victims. So curious where that's going to come.
If we got like her wallet. Like,
we got things from her room. Her room really wasn't part of it.
I'm talking about like her wallet with her ID in it and her debit card. And
yeah, we have those items.
We have her ID.
She had so many IDs. It's hard to. She had a lot of college IDs, a lot of high school IDs. So I don't know if I actually.
We all had a lot of IDs.
I actually haven't gone through. My thing is because I'm very good about like just pretending like things didn't happen and like put it out of my head and pretend. And that's what I do with Kaylee's stuff. Because we brought everything home. Well, we got a bunch of stuff home and I went through like 2 things and I literally.
Okay. Money laundering 101. Say you come across a suitcase with $5 million in it. What would you buy? A yacht? A mansion? A sports car? Sorry, the IRS won't let you buy anything of value with it. So you better get that money into the banking system. But here's the problem. That dirty money, it's too clean. Looks like it just came out of a bank vault. You gotta age it up, crumple it, drag it through the dirt, run it over with your car. Anything to make it look like it's been around the block. Next, you need a cash business. Something pleasant and joyful. With books that are easily manipulated. No credit card receipts, etc. You mix the $5 million with the cash from the joyful business. That mixture goes from an American bank to a bank from any country that doesn't have to listen to the IRS. It then goes into a standard checking account, and voila. All you need is access to one of over 3 million terminals. Because your work is done. Your money's clean. It's as legitimate as anybody else's.
And when I look at all you guys, there's only one way for this to get a little better, to heal a little bit. There's pain everywhere. Is you're just gonna have to love each other. You guys are just gonna have to hug each other. You're gonna have to be a little awkward, and you're just gonna have to share. And the only cure to pain is love. That's the only thing that's gonna heal us. That's the only thing that's gonna heal you. So all I challenge you in the next week, the next days, is just go out of your way and tell someone you love them. Love the people in your room that you go back to, your apartments, your house. And that will make a difference. And that's something that they can see where they're at right now. That you changed your life just a little bit and you were a little bit nicer and a little bit kinder.
I just wanted to get a sense from you about justice. What is it? What does it look like for you? I mean, you're just starting this process.
For me, it's going to look a lot like an end. I mean, justice doesn't have a room where you can read books and you can go to school and you can have, 3 meals and you can have your vegan diet. To me, that's not justice. Justice is when you leave the planet and the whole world is able to rejoice and be glad that you are not there. That's justice, and we will forgive him. We will. We're not going to have that heavy weight on us. We will forgive this individual, and we will, but he has to pay for what he's done. And it's not just our daughter, it's all the victims he needs to pay justice to. And, that's all I can say about it.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like he can see us?
No, it's impossible. He can't see or hear a thing.
Welcome back. John Grisham is the master of the legal thriller with 50 consecutive #1 bestsellers.
Yes.
And counting. He's also continuing his mission to make sure justice is served in real life with the latest book that he co-authored with author Jim McCloskey called Framed, Astonishing True Stories of Wrongful Convictions. When you hear about this book, I'm telling you, it just takes your breath away. Please welcome back John Grisham.
Thank you.
John.
It's great to see you again, John. We always like having brilliant authors on this show. Framed is the name of the book, and she says is only the second nonfiction book you've ever written, and the 10 stories you profile are almost too inconceivable to be true. Right. Have you been hearing a lot of that? What led you? I mean, of that in your experience? Is there a lot of the people who need to be exonerated?
There are thousands of innocent people in prison.
Yeah.
If that's the question.
Yes.
And and every wrongful conviction or exoneration deserves a book because they're from a storytelling point of view, they're irresistible. Yeah. Because of the amount of suffering, injustice, fear, anger, wasted lives, but also sometimes happy endings, perseverance, some good lessons. But these are terribly complicated and depressing cases. Yeah. And I've already had people say, I threw this book against the wall. I put the book down. I read the first story. There are 10 stories, and I read the first one, and I didn't want to read anymore. Yeah. It's very frustrating, but they're all true.
But it's a heartbreaking thing when you even see it on TV. Some guy who was put away for 40 years, and then the DNA comes out, and he was innocent. It's the most heartbreaking thing to watch.
This is going to make you crazier, Joy, because one of the things in the beginning of this that John says is these are not mistakes that people made. People make mistakes all the time. Right. He says these stories concern people who knew they had the wrong people. They knew that they didn't have what they needed, and they lied to them and cajoled. I mean, I'm one of those people who I picked it back up. But I tossed it because I was so irritated that we're still dealing with this, but I didn't mean to cut you off.
It happens more than you think. We were talking about that earlier. People would assume it takes bad luck or like an uncanny coincidence to lock up an innocent person, but you highlight cases of men and women who have these ironclad alibis, no connection to the crime whatsoever. And you told me off camera you were surprised at how common wrongful convictions are. Really?
Yeah. Again, there are so many of them, and to follow what you said, these are not good, well-meaning police and prosecutors who make mistakes or judges. This is willful wrongdoing. Yeah. These are people who hide evidence. They put on perjured witnesses. They do all these horrible things.
Let me suggest that you do, because any one of these people could be any one of us. Really? We'll be right back.
Overprescribed under the mister, we had survived to turn on the history channel and ask our esteemed panel, why are we alive? And here's how they replied, yo, what happens when two substances collide? And by all accounts you really should have died. Stretched out on a tarmac 6 miles south of North Platte, pulse of house man. This what goes undelivered, undelivered. Boom, 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 boom. It's the nervous tick motion of the head to the left. It's a nervous tick motion of the head to the left, of the what? The head to the left. So exercise yourselves till you're bereft. 'Cause it's a nervous tick motion of the head to the left, of the, to the. Split out on a bathman, 6 miles north of South Platte. He just wants his life back. What's in that paper knapsack? It's a goes undelivered, undelivered. Boom, 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 boom. It's a nervous tick motion of the head to the left. A nervous tick motion of the head